Hi, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. If 2020 and maybe even part of 2021 has got you overwhelmed, confused, in fear, I'd like to address that with you now on what I feel are some solutions. Edwin Dearborn here, another edition of Growth Driven. You know, one of the things that's really important when you're in business, and that is mainly what we talk about here on Growth Driven, is if you're going to succeed in anything, you've got to have the right mindset. Being confused, living in fear will never be the mental platform or springboard that's going to move you forward towards success. I don't care if it's financial success, business success, personal success, you're an athlete. It doesn't matter what you do. Fear and overwhelm is never the springboard for progress. In 2020, we all saw what happened with the lockdown, and now things are being revealed that, well, a lot of us knew, which is there's sinister forces at work. This isn't just a happenstance of unfortunate events. These unfortunate events are caused, and they are caused by people that are antisocial, psychotic, and sociopaths. I'm not going to get into that right now. What I want to talk about is you. In 2020, I had to make a big pivot in business because, businesses got shut down, and I had to look at how do I survive during the lockdown and how long is it going to be? And I also realized that this would probably not be the only time, because when governments and forces of that level exert power, unfortunately, they get addicted to it and they want to do it again. So I had to rethink, how am I going to survive financially? Not just survive, but also thrive. How do I thrive in this new environment? And I saw a lot of people in fear and overwhelm, and it was very easy to just sit on social media and complain about it, but not try to understand it. And that's my point right now. There's two things that you're going to have to get out of fear and overwhelm. There's two things. There's two pathways you're going to have to follow. And how you follow that is up to you. I'm not going to sit there and go, this is the way. But the first thing is you got to understand yourself, who you are, why you're here, your purpose, and whatever you do to sort that out and become a stronger you, whether it's working out, spiritual counseling, prayer, nutrition, congregations of positive people, listening to positive music, or all of the above. Whatever it is for you, your first responsibility is to make sure that just you are understanding you are more you, and doing the things that you love while removing the negativity. That negativity could be you're on Facebook too often listening to the news, you're listening to CNN or Fox News too often, you're around negative people that are around the news too often. Again, some combination thereof. But once you start to get you, knowing about you and doing you, that your keel begins to center in life. And there is no substitute for that. So before you start thinking about how you're going to control the exterior environment, what's happening with you? Are you eating right? Are you sleeping right? Are you reading? Are you networking with positive people? Are you working with positive people? Are you going to church, synagogue, mosque, temple, and doing, and just becoming a better person mentally and spiritually? That's the first point. And whatever that path is for you, you need to double down on that. Triple down. Point number two, you do have to understand. Once you start understanding yourself, you're going to have to start understanding the exterior world and what is causing this conflict. Because if you don't understand what's happening, you become a part of what's happening. If you don't understand the causes of a problem, you eventually become a part of the problem. Willingly or unwillingly, you start to participate as part of the problem simply because you don't understand the problem. Whether it's fixing a car or fixing a human body, the first step when something's wrong is diagnosis. What's causing the problem? Why won't the car run? Why is the child ill? This is true of anything. We have to diagnosis is simply the process of understanding what the heck is happening, what's causing this, what is allowing this to happen, what is opening the door, what are the prime movers unmoved in this situation. And I see too few people actually asking the right questions on why is this being caused? Going beyond the mere explanation, the justification of, well, people are just stupid. No, that's not what caused this. Yes, there are some people that are stupid, but that is not the actual cause. That's just some flippant, broad scale label that actually brings about no understanding to the situation. And this is a common thing that I run into is we have too many people, we have too many members of the human race justifying or labeling with these stupid generalities these problems versus going deep and going, you know what? No, I want to understand how the hell this disease got to America. I wonder how the hell we were allowed to shut down our economies globally and borrow trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars just printed out of thin air with no idea of the repercussions. We're going to put the jabby jab in young children, although we have no long-term studies of how this will actually affect it. How did this series of events actually come to be at this rapidity, at this level of destruction? And I was talking to a friend about, there's certain forces, neo-Marxist forces. I'm reading about it, understanding the modern 2020-21 context of how it actually is working in the world. And when you start to open up that Pandora's box, when you start to pull away the curtain of the matrix, you start to go, that's what it is. And most people don't want to turn the curtain because somehow it's going to upset the apple cart. Somehow it's going to make their middle-class life look more miserable. They're already miserable, but they think that looking at the truth is going to bring about more misery, when in actual fact, you can walk around in a sense of understanding. And that takes a little bit of study. That takes a little bit of effort on your part to bring about that epiphany, that holy wow, that aha moment. And there is a lot of aha moments ahead if we are to live out of fear and confusion. Again, there's the you aha moments, you knowing more about you, progressing in a gradient scale of understanding who you are, your purposes, where you belong, how to become stronger, how to become freer, how to become more powerful. And then there's also, you've got to understand this dynamic that you live in called mankind and the various groups within mankind, and how are they interacting? And what does that have to do with you? And the moment you begin to have those aha moments with you, and you start to have the aha moments of the dynamics of how groups and mankind and forces are working together and against each other, at the actual causes, the agendas, the players, the methodologies, the systems, then all of a sudden you are beginning a path of freedom. Because what is confusion? Confusion is just random motion, no understanding. And all of a sudden you start to go, oh, that's a this, and that's a this, and that's how this does this, and that's what affects that. And next thing you know, you're becoming an agent of change for yourself, your family, your community, and for mankind. We've often talked about, the new age, the golden age of enlightenment. You study that in history. Well, what was the golden age of enlightenment? It was enough individuals shedding past dark age thoughts, ideas, ideologies, systems, and habits. They bypassed those and they took a new path to understanding. It just was some magical force that just spread across the world. There was individuals, Copernicus, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. They were individuals that decided to take a new path. That's what I'm saying to you. Now, are you a Michelangelo, a Leonardo da Vinci? No, but those are the luminaries of that moment. But believe me, there were tens of thousands of others that you and I will never study in history, yet took the same famous path that those famous people took, which is to become enlightened about themselves, about the universe, about the nature of their being, about the world, how it worked, the causes and the effects. So when I hear somebody complaining or being overwhelmed or being confused, I have two things that I ask them. Number one, are you yourself investing time, effort, finance, reason into yourself to become a better you? Are you working out? Are you going to church? Are you reading books? Are you discovering something about yourself? Are you getting some spiritual counseling? What are you doing for you? I want to talk about what you're doing to make yourself better. I don't want to talk about the problem out there. What are you doing? Because that's the first thing you can do something about. And number two, what are you doing? Are you investing any time or effort to understand the factions and the factors and the players in the very problem that you're complaining about? Do you understand how the monetary system works? Do you understand the basics of the international banking system? Do you understand how evil psychiatry is? Do you understand the ideologies of Marxism and capitalism? And yes, all of these understandings lead to a better understanding of you going, oh, that's why we have riots. Oh, that's why we have inflation. Oh, that's why we have contention in the streets. And if you're not investing time into understanding yourself and those outside factors, then you will remain in confusion, doubt, overwhelm, apathy, throwing your hands up, and now you're part of the problem. Because that state of being overwhelmed in fear is somebody else's product. That is the result. If you're sitting in that state of confusion and overwhelm, I guarantee you there is some propagandist, there is some evil force that has put a lot of time, effort, and thought into getting you into that state, because that is not your native state. So if you are in any state other than native state, there are some forces at work that assisted you to get there. And it's time you start to understand those forces. And no, it's not painful. It's actually relieving. So what are you going to do? Are you actually investing in the time? I think the average American watches 35 hours of television. Can you imagine if they spent 35 hours investing in understanding themselves and the world around them? And then to some degree participating in the solution, whether it's volunteering or, bringing food to a hungry person or counseling children, or I don't know. Again, the first thing I talked about is when you understand you and your purpose, you're going to find your place in this world and you're going to start to better that corner. And believe me, we need millions of people bettering millions of corners of this world. Millions of people helping one individual means millions of people just got helped. That makes a difference. But it's not going to make a difference if you're in fear and confused and in overwhelm and upset about the situation. That is not the route out. Now, if you want to connect with me along that journey, I'm putting together an email newsletter, and I'm going to start sending information that's going to get people to go, you need to study this. It may enlighten you, and you'll have a better understanding of the situation, albeit world chaos, your money, how to invest, how to start a business, how to network, how to use social media. This newsletter is about bringing to you on a small gradient bits on a daily basis, little pieces of information. And I'm doing it through a newsletter because I have found myself that if I start putting it on social media, I get deplatformed, I get warned, or I get told that it's fake information, to find out 6 months later that it was actually true information. Because the communication lines of big tech have been compromised. They have been compromised. They have become part of the woke movement. And they will challenge you if you challenge them, even if they're in the wrong. I hope you find the time, the urgency to begin working on yourself, to begin understanding yourself, your role in this world. And when you are in that truth and you are living the truth of who you are and your role, I'm telling you right now, life becomes so much better. And then secondly, as you're on that journey, understanding what the hell's going on this planet. There you go. Is that on topic for growth driven? I think so. Because if you're going to grow and be driven, you're going to have to understand yourself and you're going to have to understand the world. It's part of our responsibility at this point. You made a great day. Once again, Edwin Dearborn here on Growth Driven. Bye-bye.